It's not always serious and profound with sight whispering and shamanic work. Sometimes the spirit world gives us moments to laugh at ourselves as we try to navigate its mysteries. For a shaman with integrity, humility is essential. Keeping one's ego in check is not just important, it's a responsibility. This spirit encounter is a perfect example of why sometimes maybe it's best to think twice before jumping dimensions. Our ancient ancestors had a tangible bond with nature and the cosmos. That bond is broken. Join me, Shaman Eagleheart, as I connect with spirits who want to share their advice about how we rebuild this bond. Sometimes sight whispering can be funny and a little bit embarrassing. The way my gift of contacting ancient spirits works is that when I go to a site, I meet a spirit who's just someone who's at this location on this day, but a long time ago. I don't contact an omniscient spirit. I just come in contact with whoever's there. Many times I've asked them what I look like, and they always describe me similar to how we describe ghosts and spirits who appear in our world. This is an important bit of information to remember for this embarrassing story, which takes place in Southern Alberta, Canada. My intrepid sight-whispering friend remembered seeing a cluster of ancient teepee rings when she was a child, and she was determined to find them again for me. Now let me help with some cultural background. For over 1,000 years, the First Nations people of Southern Alberta have used teepees as their shelters. These are amazing structures, and if you ever get the chance to stay in one, I highly recommend it. The energy inside is beautiful, and you have amazing dreams. Anyway, back before there was canvas, the people used animal hides. Now, in the case of the place that I'm taking you to, the ancestors of the Blackfoot people used buffalo hides. Now, instead of holding the bottom edge down with just wooden pegs like we do now, the people would find large stones to secure the hides to the earth. When it was time to break camp, they would just roll the stones off the skin, pull down the teepee, and move on, so that next summer, when they came back to this same location, they wouldn't have to go stone hunting again. The stones were already there. Hence why archaeologists call these stone circles teepee rings. As part of my initiation, I was educated in the stories and significance of all the parts of the teepee. Sunbear taught me Grandfather Wallace Black Elk's teaching, that the stones are the children of our nation. Their presence makes us strong because they hold our nation in contact with the earth. Okay, back to the story. My friend phoned a few of her childhood pals just to try and get the coordinates, and we were off on another sight-whispering adventure. We found the site near Carmen, Southern Alberta. When we arrived, and much to her surprise, there is now an official sign marking this cluster of 9 teepee rings. The sign dates them to between 200 BC and 1700 AD, which means that this location has been used for close to 2,000 years. I was both curious and a bit dubious about coming to this place for sight whispering because it was just an encampment. I mostly use my spirit communication gift at sacred sites, not domestic sites, and it felt kind of rude to just pop up into someone's home. But my friend was so keen to show me this place that I felt obliged to give it a go. Well, we looked around. The circles were subtle but discernible. My simple ceremony to introduce myself and ask permission to journey into this place, along with burning some sage and cedar and tobacco, gained me entrance. Once I started to walk around this small field, I could easily make out the rings of stones where many teepees had been pitched in the past. As I walked around the site, the world started to blur. It's very tricky for me to walk around a site when I'm between worlds. In this present world, the ground is rough and I have to navigate around lots of displaced stones. But in the spirit world, the land is smooth and there are no trip hazards. So as I'm trying to navigate, I inadvertently stumble inside one of the teepee rings and I find myself inside a buffalo hide teepee. I'm on the north side of the teepee and there's a woman to my left. She's kneeling between the door and the central fire ring. There's a pile of reeds on her right, and she's taking them onto her lap and weaving them into some kind of a mat or something. I think I remember her hair in braids, and she has an animal hide apron tied just below her breasts. I watch what she's doing, and I realize that I think she can feel my presence. She isn't looking at me, but her unease is becoming palpable, and she kind of tenses up a little bit. She finishes the row that she's working on, puts down the weaving, and walks out of the teepee. So I'm feeling pretty awkward, and I think to myself, look, I'll just look around the teepee and then I'll go. So as I look around, I can see some woven backrests and a partially completed parfleche, and there are sleeping places around the sides, and I can see an altar on the west directly opposite the door. And I walk over there to look at a couple of the drums and an eagle feather fan. And while I'm looking around at what's on this altar, that's when she comes back with another woman. Well, I scoot back over to the north side, and the woman that she's just brought in follows my movement. She looks directly at me, then she looks at her friend and she says, "It's just a spirit from the future." Well, I can't remember what the first woman said in response, but the friend looks back at me and she says, "Well, that's right, isn't it?" And so I say, "Yes." And then she asks, "Well, where are our husbands?" Well, I'm kind of embarrassed because I don't have a clue. So I say, "I'm sorry, I don't know." So then the first woman looks in my direction and says, "Well, how was the hunt?" And again, I have to say, "Sorry, I don't know." And then the second woman says, "Well, then what good are you to us?" So I backed out of the teepee ring. Engaging with spirits like this, I often wonder about the physics of parallel time. How does it work? Did this event happen in their time too? Look, I understand the concept of the universal present now, but it's another thing to experience it. This encounter was a reminder that not all connections with spirits are grand dialogues. Some are just simple, unexpected exchanges that bring a smile. This encounter was a lighthearted reminder that the spirit world doesn't always take us as seriously as we take ourselves. Sometimes the best lessons come with a little laughter and a nudge to stay humble. Not every moment in shamanic work is profound or transformative. Some are simply human. Bridging time with humor and connection. Engaging with spirits from the past often raises deep questions about the nature of time and existence. Like, well, did I actually appear in their present? And, well, if I did, what does that mean for their future? Like, did I change a timeline? I don't know. Perhaps one day, theories like eternalism and quantum entanglement, they'll help us to unravel this conundrum. What was confirmed is that when I meet these spirits in the eternal now, in a dimension of the past, I appear to them much as ghosts appear to us. And I guess just like in our world, sometimes ghosts aren't wanted or helpful. Now, this experience was just a gentle reminder of the code that I live by as a shaman. Honor, humility, love, and respect. With each spirit encounter and healing, I check in to ensure that I am present in honor, act with humility, embody love, and respect the spirits, nature, and people that I'm with. I'm eternally grateful to the Blackfoot Nation. I pay my respects to their elders and their ancestors, and I offer my apologies for intruding into their encampment. If you want to take a deeper dive, there's a free ebook with beautiful lessons and reflections about this spirit encounter on my website at eagleheart.com.au. If you want to experience more ancient wisdom and sound healing, follow, subscribe, and be sure to click the notification bell so that you can join me for more shamanic adventures. If you want to hear another humorous one, check out what happened when I met my first dwarf in Scotland in Mystical Valley of Lewis, the shape-shifting dwarves. And also check out The Artist's Sacrifice, Spirit Guides at the Ancient Mesa, where a spirit carefully guided my friend and I around her village.